name is Catherine. I am 32 years old, and it drives me crazy when my boomer parents use all capital letters to tell me to call them, because I find it alarming, uselessly, and then when you call them in panic, they're just saying, "Hey, how are you? I just wanted to chat." Whereas they sent you a message saying, "Call me now." I also think that my parents are discovering emojis. I know my father takes great pleasure in adding about 10 emojis for every single word that he's used in our conversation. So I think it's a little bit too much, and he should slow down on the emojis.
Hi, my name's Chris, and I'm 32 years old. And it terrifies me when my wife ends a text message with a period, because that means that she took the time to put that period. It makes the sentence a lot more stern, and "I'll be home for dinner" without a period is, a lighthearted message saying she'll be home for dinner, but "I'll be home for dinner" period means I darn better be there, or if not, I'm in big trouble. So definitely terrified when anyone puts a period at the end of their text messages. Something's gone wrong, and I'm about to be on the receiving end of something. Another thing that I think is very interesting these days is how people use lowercase lol to really diminish the gravity of something you say. Someone might text me, "I think you've gained weight, lol." That lol just makes everything better, seemingly. I don't think anyone laughed out loud, and yet if you don't put that lol, it's a mean text. But if you put the lol, everything's all right.
My name's Emma, I'm 30 years old, and one thing that really irritates me when I'm texting or when I'm on Twitter is when the writer doesn't use punctuation at all, so it's one really long run-on sentence. Makes me feel out of breath while I'm reading it because I don't know where to pause, and sometimes it makes it really difficult to figure out what's going on. So just punctuation use in general is really useful. On the flip side, I've been told, I'm a millennial, but Gen Zers have told me that I give away my age when I use a laughing crying face emoji when I'm laughing about something. Apparently that's something that only millennials do. Gen Zers tend to use the skull emoji when they're laughing about something through text. And so that one was an interesting one when I heard that.
My name is Joe, and I am 52 years old. And I don't know when this happened exactly, but at some point in time, people started attaching LOL to their emails and texts to me. And I'm a pretty emotional guy. I'm an emotional writer. And whenever I read LOL, without knowing what it meant at the time, I thought it meant lots of love. And for a long time, probably, I'm going to say years, I didn't know what it meant, and I was too embarrassed to ask one of my younger colleagues what LOL meant. And what I've learned with two kids under the age of 12 is that LOL means lots of laundry.
I'm Jesse. I'm 41 years old, and I admit that I have struggled with the proper way to compose emails and text messages. Do I, for example, use punctuation after an emoji? Do I smile and then put a period? That looks kind of odd. Or do I put the emoji and no period? That also looks kind of odd. I used to write emails similar to letters. I would put a subject line and "Dear so-and-so" and sign off at the bottom. I've now realized that they're more like text messages. They can be done really quickly in the proper situation. I still use the exclamation point, probably too often. I thank people a lot when they send me something. This I don't do when I'm editing articles or writing articles because there's really no reason to scream in a newspaper. So I will admit that I have a double standard on that point. It also really annoys me when people put their pronouns in an email because I can't think of any situation where I'd be referring to that person in third person. And I'm not going to start the email by saying Mr. or Mrs. It just doesn't happen anymore.
My name is Shantae. I'm 35 years old, and emojis just do not belong in emails. We should keep emojis to text messages where it's fun, it's light. I think emails have a different tone, a more serious tone, a more direct way of communicating, and I just think playfulness such as emojis are just not necessary. I understand that emojis are sometimes used to communicate when the tone is hard to read. The reader might decide, I'm going to add a smiley face, for example, I think that 6 in the report should have been an 8 smiley face. Just say what you have to say. I don't think that the smiley face needs to be added in. I don't need to be a warm touch to the message. I just think straight to the point. And if you have anything friendly to say, use your words. Emojis are just not it when it comes to emails.
Hi, I'm Tyler, and I'm 33. And the thing that always gets me is when people text K or KK. I think that there's this perception that K is like this really aggressive kind of statement when you're text messaging someone. You're like, oh, K, whatever. And KK is like a little bit more friendly. But the other thing that I've noticed is that with some people, you have like this sort of like intimate kind of vernacular, the same way that like a couple has these phrases and words and stuff like that mean something special to them. One of my best friends, we text K to each other, and we are both aware that that does not mean that we're like mad or ending the conversation or whatever, when that might mean something like totally different for someone else. To make matters even more complicated, if you add a period at the end, that it adds like a certain amount of like finality or aggression. So if you're like K period or OK period, that's like more final. You're like shutting the conversation down, and that I think to some people gets even more like uncomfortable or aggressive or offensive. So there's like all these like little linguistic things that go into these conversations we have, and they seem to differ from person to person and relationship to relationship.